Welcome to the studio. Our guest today is Cicelle Beemon, Program Assistant for the Women's Center at PFW. Welcome to the studio, Cicelle.
Hello, thank you for having me today.
Oh, I'm so grateful that you were able to come in. I'm very glad to have you in.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, let's get into it. Where are you from?
Well, originally I am from California. California, Pomona, but I count Fort Wayne as my home.
How long have you lived in Fort Wayne?
About, I want to say maybe a good 20 years of my life. So
okay.
You could say this is my home.
All right. Did you finish high school here? Or?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
You did?
Yes.
You did. What high school did you attend?
I went to Northside High School.
Northside, all right.
Yes,
so did I.
Yeah,
very nice. Very nice. Many years apart, but still same school. Very good. Very good. And you studied your undergraduate degree at PFW?
Yes, I did. I earned my bachelor's in general studies with 2 minors in communications and human services.
Why general studies?
Well, at first I started going into communications, and then I had a little bit of rumble in my educational journey, and then I moved to human services, and then I found out that I had to kind of make something work in order for me to graduate.
Make a decision.
Make it a good decision, and I ended up just putting it all under general studies from everything that I did. So I felt comfortable doing general studies,
which is really great because it gives you an opportunity to study a myriad of things.
Yes, yes.
That's really lovely.
Yes.
Are you working on your master's? Is that correct?
I actually completed my master's last year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And what is that in?
I earned my master's in higher education with a concentration in administration and leadership.
Why higher education?
Well, while I was in my undergrad at PFW, I was serving as a 21st Century Scholar Support Specialist through AmeriCorps, and I did that for about 4 years. And then in doing that, and just a journey that I took in helping students and learning the system about financial aid, and even having my own experience, I just really enjoyed working with college students and just giving them that advice that would help them continue their educational journey. And then I just decided to move into higher education at that point. So as soon after I graduated with my bachelor's at PFW, I ended up getting hired into the program assistant in the Women's Center. And so from there, being in the Women's Center, I wanted to make sure I had my credentials. So it took me some time, but I ended up getting my master's shortly after all of that.
That's wonderful. Now let's talk about you being a program assistant for the Women's Center. Mm-hmm. What do you do?
So at PFW and the Women's Center, we basically do a lot of services and supports around students who identify as women, as well as students who have major responsibilities outside the classroom. So families, children, and dependents. And so in that area, we have several programs. We have our Students with Families programming, where we do a lot of cool events on and off the campus. And then we also talk to all students on campus around sexual assault awareness and understanding the warning signs about relationship abuse and sexual assault. And then we also work with students in the Gear Up program around supporting students in their same age bracket, so their peers. So if you're an older student in the classroom and you don't feel comfortable, or you feel like you may not be able to relate to the other classmates that are more traditional, we have support services that allows those students to come in and be able to be with their peers and enjoy their educational experience at PFW.
Okay, all right. And let me ask you, why is it important to have an office like the Women's Center?
Well, it's important to have those services, not only just for the sake of supporting women, but as well as having those students who have families. I was a mother while going to college, and it meant the world to me to know that our university has some type of support for those parents. It wasn't as much as we have it now, but just to know that I can go in and know that my university understands that being a parent can be stressful, and then as well as trying to study for an exam or trying to make it to class on time. And so to have those services, it just lets people know that your university cares, and that there's someone there that you can be able to talk to about how do you navigate, being a parent and then going to school, as well as being a woman. Of course, we have our own issues and our own factors, but again, having a space lets us know that, our university, it cares and it matters to us, and that there's support there for just those specific issues that surrounding women.
What types of programs are you putting on for Women's History Month?
Oh, wow, we have a lot of things going on.
Okay.
So I can say this week we had several events. On Monday, we had an awesome speaker, Dr. Diana Jackson Davis from Parkview Health, the director of diversity and inclusion. She came and she spoke on the importance of women's health and diversity. And then we also had, we partnered with the Multicultural Center here at PFW we had a rock painting and documentary activity. Here next Monday, we're going to have 2 awesome panelists come speak. We'll be having Chancellor Kim Barnett Johnson of Ivy Tech to come speak to our students about the importance of inclusion in women and diversity in higher education, along with Alice Jordan Miles at Purdue Fort Wayne. So
oh, lovely.
We have a lot of things going on.
We've had Dr. Miles on before, so she's fantastic.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure both will be fantastic guests for you all. So let me ask you, why is it important, given diversity, equity, and inclusion, that being targeted right now, how do you see the Women's Center continuing?
Ooh, it's a toughie. I will say before it was set in stone at the university to have diversity, equity, inclusion, we already had a women's center there.
Okay.
And so, I love that we had that support. And I feel like at the end of the day, with or without the initiatives of DEI, with the country being with the country being a state that it's in, I think it's still important regardless, because of the fact that knowing again that your university supports you specifically in that space, it means the world to a person, especially if it was for me being a student. I knew that there was a place that I can go to, put my backpack down and talk to someone who would understand what I'm going through, especially being a student and especially being a woman. And even just, not even just being a woman in those other areas, people who are a part of the LGBTQ plus community, people who are considered, in the multicultural diaspora. I think it's important, again, to have that platform and a space and a place where students and people can be able to go and say, okay, these people get me, they understand what I'm trying to do, I can breathe a little bit and go back out into the world with my self-esteem intact. Because there's so many things that could be attacking. That's why we have that area of diversity, equity, inclusion. I believe it's to build one's self-esteem and to be able to continue to go on, because if I don't see representation, I would feel some type of way. I would feel like no one sees me. But having diversity, equity, and inclusion, it means that someone is speaking for me. I can be able to speak for myself and have that confidence to move forward. Yes, ma'am.
Have a voice. It's very interesting. There was a program on NPR. No, I'm sorry, it was on PBS NewsHour, and they were talking about women, particularly African American women, in higher education, and how there seemingly is an attack on the African American female in higher education. Have you found that to be so?
I could see it to a certain degree. Me personally, sometimes I can be so tunnel vision into making sure that students and the people that we serve are supported. But on a larger scale, from what I've seen happen, I believe at Harvard, it's disheartening to see, because that it shows that we're going backwards.
Yeah.
It shows that, again, who's supporting us? Why won't they support us? And
something that you said about the importance of seeing yourself in certain places, seeing a woman of color, African American, Latino, Asian, Native American, what have you, but the importance of seeing those people in power positions.
That alone is beautiful. Like I spoke with Dr. Barnett this morning, and I almost was tearing up in our little mini interview because of the fact that she is inspiring for me to see that I can earn my doctorates, I can move forward, I can be still myself and inspire others. I don't have to be a cookie cutter, image and then be someone else behind the scenes or behind the screen. I could be myself and still present education, knowledge, and wisdom to whoever I'm speaking to. And again, to have that representation, it means the world. When I was a little girl, I would love to see the little black Barbies because I was like, oh, there goes me, there goes me. My mom would say, there goes my little black Barbie. And just to see how Barbie is today and just to feel like I could be in that position, I could speak, I could lead. And it gives me, at the end of the day, it's that confidence, it's that self-esteem. As a child, I was always very shy to myself. I always wore long sleeve clothing or pants because I was afraid of my skin color to be criticized or to be bullied. And that was a really big change for me coming from California, coming to Fort Wayne.
Now, how long were you in California?
As a child, we kind of moved around the state a little bit. A lot of things was going on. So I could say maybe a good 7 years of my life I was.
In California?
Mm-hmm.
So birth to 7?
Yes.
Okay. And how, when you say the difference between being here in Fort Wayne versus California, what's the difference?
The difference was the fight to be accepted amongst my own people.
In California?
Here in Fort Wayne.
Here in Fort Wayne.
Here in Fort Wayne, actually.
Oh.
Living in California as a child, like I said, we moved around, and when we did make friends, or if there was a moment where I was still enough to make friends, they were either Latina or they were Caucasian, and I loved my friends, but I've always wanted to have friends of my peers, I could be able to relate.
African American
and
friends.
When I was getting ready to come to Fort Wayne, I was so excited. I was like, oh, I'm gonna make some black friends. It's gonna be really cool. And the moment I stepped on that Fort Wayne community bus, I had so many people say, oh, she's black, look at her hair. And the moment I would speak to say hello, they picked up my language. It was like, oh, she sounds white, or she sounds like she's too proper. And I'm like, well, that's just who I am. And so it took a while. Elementary, when I came here, around maybe third grade. That was hard because, like I said, it was a fight to be accepted, and I had to learn how to let all of that go. But I didn't learn that until after I graduated from high school, because I felt like the barriers and those extra eyes weren't looking at me and I could be myself. But through high school, I was able to kind of express who I was a little bit. And even through middle school, I found my people.
Okay.
And so I kind of just grew into that. So that was a big difference for me, coming from a place where, everyone was who they were and everyone was okay with it. But coming to Fort Wayne, like I said, I had to fight to be accepted in that black community. But I'm there now. So.
Gotcha. Now you shared with me off camera when we were talking earlier that your mom's people, your mother's people, your maternal side is here in Fort Wayne.
Yes.
That you have a big family.
Yes. I really do. I have a majority of my mother's siblings. They all live in Indianapolis, but her extended family, like cousins and other aunties, they all live here in Fort Wayne. So, and I'm very proud of that, because I have cousins who are pushing and doing great things in our community, and I'm so proud of them, pushing things out there. Rail Holman with his BTU Bigger Than Us campaign is awesome. They do beautiful work with the youth, and definitely, building people to get their own businesses and just inspiring other people to do great things.
So entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. My other cousin, Romeo Morris, he's doing great things, definitely with the Indiana Black Expo. He invited me and my students out to their recent gala, and it was so amazing to see my students be inspired to see what Fort Wayne can do, what you can do in Fort Wayne, and how you can grow, especially some of them not being from Fort Wayne. I thought it was a beautiful thing. So, and just to know, I'm also one of the faculty advisors for our Black Student Union at Purdue Fort Wayne. So it's a student org. Yes, ma'am.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. Now, talking about the things you can do here in Fort Wayne, Fort Wayne has changed in a lot of ways within the last 15 years. Why do you want to stay in Fort Wayne besides your family?
One, of course, my boys, they love the city. They're from Fort Wayne.
How old are they?
My oldest is 12 and my youngest is 11.
Nice. A
Yes,
year
yes.
apart.
Very much so.
Yeah, yeah, a year apart. So this is home for them.
Yes.
And you don't want to uproot them.
Yes, they're in middle school right now. This is that middle school is that
Pivotal.
runtime. Yes.
Yeah.
And so I want them to kind of get comfortable in their education. I want to see how they kind of excel before we take other steps out. And then I can be comfortable again. And once I feel a little comfortable in that area, I can start my doctor's program as well. So it's right now, I love the stability that Fort Wayne gives me, but I also see there's moments where I could excel in different areas and challenge myself. And that would be that big step if I was to move out. But for the most part, I still can find those challenges here in Fort Wayne by growing my name, growing a program or organization that's still helpful for people here in Fort Wayne, because Fort Wayne still has a lot of areas to grow, especially when it comes to the youth and exposing them to what college will look like, how to be in a professional field, how to grow themselves in areas where they thought they never could be able to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
So I
there
feel
are
like,
opportunities. In
Yes.
essence, you're saying there are opportunities here in Fort Wayne.
Yes, ma'am.
That a young person of color or non-color, for that matter, just a young person can have.
Yes, yes,
That
yes.
people, and not just young people, but people in general, you can really do a wide variety of things in this community.
Oh, of
the arts
course.
community is amazing. The academic community is amazing.
Yes, yes, yes. And I feel like my heart would lean a lot towards young mothers. Because of being a young mom, you have those moments where you feel that imposter syndrome sneaking in on you. And
How so?
For me as a young mom, I definitely felt that imposter syndrome. My mother passed away about 2 months after my oldest was born. And
Sorry.
it was okay. It's all right. Thank you. She my mother inspired me to be a good mother, and she also graduated from PFW with her bachelor's. So again, she inspired me to keep going. However, in those moments of being a mom, going to school, being a big sister, and being there for friends, I felt like even though I'm having all these hats, I felt like in some places I felt like maybe I shouldn't be doing this, or I'm not the right one. Struggling to study for exam while trying to, make sure my sons were okay was those hard moments to be able to balance. And again, that self-esteem will kick in. And sometimes you have somebody on your shoulder, you feel like you have somebody saying, you can't do this, but you're also leaning to, you're supposed to be in this position, you're supposed to be in this space. And as I look back over my life, I'm proud of myself because I conquered and I achieved and I kept pushing forward. And I know I'm an inspiration to other people in the city. My friends, my family, they're always telling me that they're very proud of me, and that makes me feel really good because I'm not just doing it for myself, I'm doing it for those who see me. And again, I want to be that person to be a representation of what you can do and how you can strive and succeed still, and even still living here in Fort Wayne. So I've gotten people say, I'm so surprised that you've done all this and you're still going and you're doing this living in Fort Wayne. Like, no, there's opportunities to grow.
Yeah.
You just have to know who to talk to and to stay involved and keep a clean name. If anything.
My goodness. Let's talk about if there is one thing you would tell a young person, a person that you're mentoring, what would it be?
To keep your head up. And I say that because...
Or if you could talk to your younger self.
We have a whole conversation. I would still say to keep your head up and to know your worth. At the age that I am in now, I'm just now understanding what it means to know your worth. I've been through my own personal struggles. I've been through, relationship abuse, and those are things that can weigh you down and feel like, again, that you're not. It would make me sometimes it made me feel like I wasn't supposed to be there, but I kept my faith. I really kept my faith, and I really thought of my mom in those areas. And I just kept saying, because she would tell me when I was walking as a young child, I would always walk with my head down, and she would always come up to me and say, "Keep your head up." She'll pull my chin and say, "Keep your head up." And because of that, it's important to because it's important to keep your head up just for the fact that you know that I am powerful, I am strong, I'm knowledgeable, and I'm brave, you know, because sometimes you can have somebody else in your ear telling you that you're not those things. But by keeping my head up and walking in my light helped me continue pushing forward.
How, we've talked a little bit about it, but not in depth, but faith is important to you. Why is faith important to you? How does it inform your life?
As a child, I grew up in the church. My mother, her family was very big on church. She became to be an evangelist, and I seen how hard she worked in the church to earn that spot. But no matter where we were in our life, from having to struggle with bills or struggle with anything else, my mother she pulled out the Bible. I heard her praying in the middle of the night over the home. She would always tell us to pray, you know, no matter what. And now, after my mother passed away, and I'm also spiritual as well. I believe in that connection with having having a connection to a higher calling or a higher spirit. And to be honest with you, when I don't have anything else, if I didn't have anything else or did not know where to turn, I would call on God. Me personally, that worked for me. That helped me because there's things that you cannot control. And what can you do about those things? And my students will always tell you that I'm always saying, give it to God. Give to God, because I can find myself sometimes stressing over things that I can't control. And when you stress, we all know that leads to health issues, and that can just trickle down into other things. And me remembering those things lets me know that I can't stress out. I can't freak out about things that I can't control. I have to give it to God, because who else am I going to give it to? Who's going to do it any better? And that's just, like I said, personally, that just helps me. So from where I started to here now, having my faith has kept me stronger, and as well as helping me remind myself to keep my head up, because their ancestors, their spirits, there's my mother in spirit rooting for me, you know. So my mother used to say, you know, in the Bible, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against evil spirits and principalities. And knowing that there's two sides of this world, that spiritual and that physical, you got to be prepared to handle both of them. And I know I have some cheerleaders in my spiritual realm, so I'm pushing forward, and I definitely in my physical realm as well.
And this is what you teach your son?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. I let them know that they're strong, that they can be courageous, and being boys, and that will grow into young men in this society. It makes me nervous as a mom, but then again, I know that if I'm blessed, they're blessed. What I do, they see in that I'm that example of how to do it right to a degree, you know, and putting them in those spaces and places to be able to see other people doing it right as well. So this is definitely what I teach my boys, to have that faith, to stay strong. And if you don't know what else to do, pray on it. I believe that God will give you the direction that you need when that time comes. You just need to be still and listen.
Be still.
Yes.
Peace be still.
Peace be still.
Peace be still. What would you like our audience to know about PFW and the Women's Center? What is one thing we should know?
That we have a lot of resources and services that will help encourage our students to be successful and to know that you have support. Our campus, it may seem small, but it's also really big as well.
It is big.
It is big in those
I get
areas.
lost.
You got to know somebody.
Well, thank goodness I do know somebody.
Hey. But all that being said, our office, I hear it from our students all the time. When they come into our study lounge, when they come into our space, it feels like home. And our office is also connected to the Multicultural Center with Rhonda. So to see
Rhonda Merriweather.
Yes, I love Rhonda.
Yes,
I love her.
we both
and just
love her.
to come into our office and to have it connected to them, it feels like home. Ever since I was a student there, it's always felt like home in that space right there. And so, like I said, I tell students all the time, we have snacks, we have a study lounge, we have a refrigerator, a microwave, there's a TV, a couch. Put your backpack up, do what you need to do to kind of breathe a little bit and just get yourself together. So in that space, in that area, just know that there is support. Someone there is there to listen to you and to help you, guide you where you need to go, so you can be able to feel confident when you walk out of our office.
You are going to pursue a doctorate.
Yes.
And what do you want that to be in?
As well as higher education as well.
Higher education.
Yes.
So ultimately, do you want to teach?
I would love to look in spaces around administration.
Okay,
I love
administration.
event planning. I love coordinating events.
Okay.
That have specific, issues and topics that are important for people to know about and to know where those resources are, and to be able to make connections with people as well. So
Okay.
I'm looking for, like I said, a space and place in administration and higher education.
Okay, you want to be hands-on.
Yes. Yes.
You don't want to be locked away in the classroom.
No,
But maybe you could do both.
to a certain degree, but I really feel like when I host events or programs, those are my moments to be in front of a crowd and audience, to speak, and to talk to people, to touch people. Because I
Okay.
feel like you can learn in any area, everywhere is a classroom, right?
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I try to set up our events in that kind of a
Mindset.
in that mindset, so people know that, okay, not only am I getting some good information, but you also get some resources right there. You can speak to a person right then and there, and you can also get some lunch. So definitely come for some food.
Well, Cicelle, it was wonderful talking with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It went by fast.
Oh, yes, very.
It always does. Thank you for sharing your faith. Thank you for sharing what you do and what you're doing in the community.
Yes.
And sharing about your family and what they're doing in the community.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yes, yes. Thank you for having
And
me.
thank you for tuning in, and be blessed.